Okay, welcome to the live stream.
Welcome to the BattleGoat Studios live stream.
We are streaming. I'm busy trying to find allies while I can before I mess up my relations by attacking George.
We thought for our millions of fans out there, we'd do some live streaming and get out some of our long simmering animosities that we need to resolve occasionally now that we're back developing stuff here at BattleGoat. For those of you wondering what's going on in the studio, be sure to check out Chris's blog on BG Forums, where he keeps updated with everything we can share and
I try to
and get more information out there. And so we thought we'd do a little bit of a live stream of a we thought we'd resolve the Middle East conflict in the next 30 minutes.
Yes, because that's all it really takes to resolve the Middle East is 30 minutes and some determination. That's what's been missing.
Exactly. I mean, now that Jared Kushner is on the job, it should be really easy. So we thought we'd help him out with some suggestions here.
I forgot that as Israel, I get a mission control orbital launch pad and aerospace engineering facility. I can launch satellites. Is that right?
Yeah. You should be. I mean, they use other regions to launch them, but they make the satellites.
We did give the orbital launch pad to Israel. I have one just south of Tel Aviv.
Oh, that's news to me.
Oh, there's a whole bunch of Jordanian tanks on the border with Jerusalem.
Yeah, maybe I should look at making some friends. And it's not usually the way I play, but we could look at this. Hello, Jordan. Nice haircut.
Oh. Hey, I'm seeing some of Neri's new regional textures. The F-15 Strike Eagle. Ooh.
I guess Jordan doesn't want to give me an alliance. I guess I
down
have to court them first. A little bit of dinner and dancing.
You can see. I suppose I didn't need to deploy everything.
See who else? Saudi Arabia.
Some stuff. So let's select add by class my helicopters, my transport stuff. Let's reserve that again.
Stancher is saying that he's currently playing Supreme Ultimate in Luxembourg in 1936 sandbox.
Okay.
The stream just happens to pop up.
But you said he's playing the 36 sandbox, so we are generations removed.
Okay, here. I'm making friends.
Remember which of the aircraft are going to give me good spotting.
Oh.
It's been a while since I've done much with the modern map.
Turkey. Turkey wants to be my... Oh, Turkey does not want to be my friend. Okay. Oh, la-di-da, Turkey. And I'll just put you on my enemies list. Iran. Oops, Iran does not want to be my friend
It
either.
seems Jordan gets a lot of the good high ground around there.
I got a court. I thought I already sent these guys. I've got to speed up the thing. I'm not getting my responses to my offers quick enough here.
Just as long as you don't keep the speed cranked up right before you attack me, I will take issue with that.
Let's see here. Mounted infantry, light infantry.
I got some engineers there. Find my engineers and add them to where I'm doing my construction.
Let's add some of these. Oh, these look good. Those look like a nice unit.
So many units moving around. I really shouldn't have done a deploy all. I should have been more strategic in what I deployed. Alright, you guys, reserve. Greetings.
Oh yeah, it's going down. We are
So, we're playing the Global Crisis map. I'm playing from Israel, and George is playing from Egypt. We figured that couldn't possibly create any sorts of conflicts. Yeah, just wanting to test out multiplayer again, do a bit more of that we've done with the development of Great War last year. A lot of our focus ended up on testing for that one. And at this point, there's so many different maps that we have accessible between World War I, World War II, Cold War, modern day. Every now and then it's nice to go back to some of the stuff we played a lot in the past. So I'm trying to figure, oh, I think my minister is, nope, that still is the leftover reserve deploy orders. I really deployed way too much stuff. Watch out, gotta check my economy. What am I doing here? So I don't seem to have much petroleum. George, you wouldn't mind giving me a bit of extra petroleum, right?
Oh, I certainly would. Mind.
Really?
I'm so glad that India has declared war on Azerbaijan. And those Azerbaijanis, yes, apparently they did.
I hadn't checked what wars had broken out so far. Oh yeah, you're right. Azerbaijan and India. So we were playing, I believe the default for this map is high volatility. Oh, I got diplomatic offers floating around here.
The world tensions are now on high. Ah, those Iraqis, they make a tough deal. What do they want from me? Let's give them some advanced recycled materials. That's always a good trade. Okay, Jordan.
I feel like I'm building too much stuff. I'm gonna pause construction on some of my land fabs. And yeah, let's send you guys back into reserve for now.
Okay, let's see.
Okay. Some tanks and infantry. Let's build up some defensive lines here.
Oops. Diplomatic trade with Iraq has failed. What happened with Iraq?
I like how you blame them. Maybe it was your fault.
I feel I want to be non-aggressive to Iraq. Oh. Syria has some issues. We'll just leave them.
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out if you're talking in-game or out of game.
Both, I think.
Probably. What have I got for spotting planes? Oh, there we go. I should add that guy in hotkey. My patrol plane will be my group 8. Let's start spotting around.
Oh. Let's turn down my game volume. Let's get some reduced sounds here. Okay, so let's see who's left on my friends list here. Oh, Jordan, you just don't want to... Really?
Put away some of the Navy for now.
Nobody wants a formal alliance? What do these people want?
George, it's like they don't trust you or something.
To know me is to trust me.
So since I have a couple boats still deployed, I got these last two guys here, I should be able to load them up with some missiles, so that if somebody, not naming names, decides to suddenly attack me, let's make sure these boats are loaded up with some missiles.
Okay, now the... Oops, missile defense. No, don't think I need missile defense. Okay.
What have I got? A whole bunch of Merkava tanks. I do like the Merkava tanks. I remember them being very good in a fight.
Okay, let's see here. Sorry people, we gotta raise your price of oil. I don't want you using it for cars and stuff.
So you're just a horrible leader, George.
I know.
Living in your country is just painful, I'm sure.
These people need to understand the importance of focusing on the task at hand.
No, I probably should have stopped and checked what we were researching, because we're researching a lot of useless stuff.
Basic holography. I don't really think I need basic holography. Let's cancel
In
that.
a multiplayer game, that might not come up quite as much. Okay, who out there can I do some trading with? Who's got money?
Yeah, actually.
Oh.
Mr. Research
My
Guy.
good old friends, United States.
Yeah, I don't care what you're doing. Okay.
Sure.
Oops. That's a little weird. Okay.
I should bring up the atlas, check the military stats, and compare George's capabilities to mine. So I have 4 land, 2 air, 1 naval, 6 missile. Where's Egypt in this?
Oh, that's not a port. Oh, that was a bad idea.
3, so 4 to 3, 2 to 1. Okay. So militarily, I have more capacity than Egypt.
Oh, apparently my spies tell me that Israel has more capacity than I do, so I better do something about that.
Alright, let's see what I've got in reserve here that I shouldn't bother keeping. I have a feeling there's a bunch of units that are old and should be scrapped.
Oh, Saudi Arabia, you have some weird... You're a weird country. Let's just leave it at that.
Yes.
Wonder if I should care about my neighbors the other side. Look, Libya hates me, Sudan hates me. Okay, well, that's life. That's life in Africa.
Excuse me.
I guess we have to do this the old-fashioned way. I guess in this game, I don't really have the luxury of waiting till Yom Kippur.
I know what I need to find.
Okay, let's see.
Need to find my tank force and my artillery. I think I got a cough drop. Pop one of those.
What features are they going to talk about? You guys want to reveal some upcoming plans?
Well, I'm sure George would love an opportunity to laugh at me over the fact that I forgot a feature that we had in the game and I was requesting it. That one of the things we talk a lot about is how many different ways there are to do the same things in the game. And one of the things we'd wanted early on was a way to interact a bit more with the map. And during Supreme Ruler Ultimate development, we actually added the function that in the Defense Production Department, where you can view your land, air, sea missiles, and the designs, under building the designs, there's actually, so you can expand a list of, let's say, tanks. I've got my list of tanks where I've got the Merkava and my upgraded patent. And there's a little green arrow at the far right of the list where you can click on that to start adding things to the list. But what I had forgotten I had asked for and gotten as a feature was shift clicking on that actually changes the mouse cursor and highlights for you on the map where your production facilities are, and you can just click on the location and it queues things up for you.
Yes,
so,
the interface is even gives you a little reticule as you're doing it, so you know exactly what unit you're placing. That's handy.
and it also shows you the capacity that as soon as you enter that map mode, it's got a little flyout that tells you how much is currently producing at that location and what its maximum is. So
there we go.
And that sole excursion is asking if there's anything to let the new project out.
no, generally no. That they're, and I'm sure it'll drive some people nuts how cagey we are, but a lot of people who chat with me on the forum will know that that's not uncommon. That at this stage, the comment that I've made to fellow developers when I've talked to them about it is that at this point, there's a lot of high-level design discussions being had, and we want to be able to lock down a couple key components before bringing out to the community and talking about what it is, so that we can sort of direct some of the discussions. It's really easy for people to, you pick any theme and people are going to go to the outlier elements of that theme saying, are you going to have, so it's really easy to get lost in the features that for a little bit longer, we really feel that there's some stuff we want to have a clear vision to bring to the community when we say, okay, this is what we're making. So we've been able to do some of the groundwork stuff, which is important and gets us moved forward. But yeah, for now, we don't get much past that.
You don't hear it that much. It's there,
One thing is that people should be aware of is our insider build. We finally resolved a couple of issues with some of the multiplayer sync that people might have had on with the Trump-related scenarios. Yes, we blame it on Trump, but it was actually an odd little compiler issue we've been able to resolve. So that means our insider build is finally in its final QA. We're going to post a new insider build up by tomorrow, and if all goes well, we'll put it on the live Steam channel very soon. So that'll go out to all players. And then we're also planning a couple more updates on Supreme Rule Ultimate in honor of the infamous 10th anniversary of the release of Supreme Ruler 2020.
Which I still find incredible that it's been that long, and then 13 years for Supreme Ruler 2010. Pretty soon both those titles will be historic games.
By the way, Lucas is asking, he's saying that most of his friends can't play the game because they don't have Polish translations. And he has a request on behalf of thousands of Polish people to translate basic
Into
Polish? Interestingly enough, we had Polish during Supreme Ruler 2010, that it got localized. Yeah, and when he says thousands of players, that's quite often what it comes down to, is that community size is going to be a key element of can we or can we not provide for that. Because it's not just getting all the translation done, it's at that point supporting the language that we've decided to publish in. I don't know if George has further comments on if there's any more localization coming at this point.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, some additional languages are difficult. I mean, even our German localization isn't as high a quality as we would like. So bringing a language like a new language like Polish on board is going to be very difficult to do with any level of quality, unfortunately.
other options for like community support, translations and so on?
There's certainly options there, and we've had there's one fellow on the Steam forum who had started a Russian translation, community driven, and I interacted with him once or twice saying, let me know how far you get, I'll see if I get an opportunity to help out. But as often ends up happening with those things, he sent me an email and I've just not really been able to give him much support in expanding on what he's done. My understanding is that he's got it working, but there are quite a number of files there, and we just, everybody's time feels so limited these days that it can be a real challenge for us to even support the community. Is it possible? Yes. Other people have done it. It just isn't necessarily the easiest. I'm trying to find the orders from the units here. What do I do?
Did I hear that right? Multiplayer's getting optimized?
Trying to think if any of this was optimization. Not really sure. Any of the recent stuff.
I mean,
Yeah, I understand the question is semi-sarcastic.
well, I mean, we did obviously. Multiplayer got a lot of love when we switched over to the Steam engine. So the Steam matchmaking also included a complete overhaul to the internals of multiplayer. So there's certainly a lot more stability with multiplayer than there's ever been before.
Mm-hmm. And it also, the other thing to be aware of is, and if anybody had been playing prior to the release of Supremer: The Great War, the engine changes that were made during the development for Supreme Lord Great War included a number of performance improvements, and all of those were pushed back into the SRU engine. That we looked for every possible opportunity to improve what we had, and did make sure to look for where the code could be optimized in both directions. I'm suddenly noticing all these Egyptian forces building up on my southern border, and feeling like I didn't prep nearly enough yet.
Reconnaissance. It's entirely reconnaissance. Nothing to see here.
So this is when it's a good time to have the select one tank, add highlighted class, and send a shitload. Oh. We appreciate the thought.
Yes, we do.
You guys got another multiplayer going?
Yeah, just to test the issue you had with George.
And in terms of the multiplayer stability, one of the things that we can talk about, that I had written a post on the BG forums about a test game that we did, where we had 6 of us in the studio, and our goal was to test out the multiplayer stability, and we ended up getting a random user who just joined us when we opened the lobby, because it's Steam, it's wide open. And we managed to play, so 6 of us in office and one other person we have no idea where they were from. I think we ran something like a 2 or 3 hour multiplayer test game, and we had really good performance. That it was rare that we were at full speed. Now again, most of us, 6 out of 7 of us were in the same building, running through the same router, so that obviously the load is a lot better than if you've got like 7 people all across the world. But we had really good performance with that, so it gives us a certain degree of confidence that the engine itself is capable of quite a lot.
Let's see, I wonder if this is how Jared Kushner is hoping to solve peace in the Middle East too.
Bob says, I'm sure there's been a lot of improvements since the Steam patch. I've heard that before. I'm more interested in the handful of conversations on the Discord, since my community, fellow YouTubers, have quite a difficulty to have stable games.
And I did watch, in terms of the Discord stuff, Bundeswehr Bob, hopefully I said that right, one of the guys who's done some YouTube videos had made some comments, but my understanding was that most of the troubles that were being had were around sync issues, which, as we mentioned, that's the latest Insider build. We had been working on a lot of that, and we've improved that for the Insider build that we're going to push in the next 24, 36 hours. Did he mention what sort of problems they're having?
I haven't seen the Discord thing, but
He said that they've talked on Discord. Okay, yeah, I thought I was caught up on what people were saying on Discord. It is possible that there's more things being talked about there. Sorry, I'm just changing my...
Mr. Matt Neo is asking, before the stream is over, can you show us how to launch nukes, please? That's another thing.
Well, Egypt doesn't have any nukes. I hear there's a rumor that Israel might, so I don't know
I
if
have
they're...
no idea what you're talking about.
I don't know if they're going to do that.
I don't even remember. No, we stripped out a lot of the nuclear inventories for game balance reasons.
Also, George Lucas is telling you to increase your defense spending.
So that you can bring in some TIE fighters and X-Wings? Sorry, I will get back to the question about the nukes in just a moment. I'm just watching the Egyptian build-up.
What Egyptian build-up?
What Egyptian build-up? Yes.
Actually, this is interesting. Does SRD leverage multiple cores?
Yes. But when we talk about that, one of the things to remember is, so let's assume you have a 4-core processor, and a whole series of calculations are coming down, and it will distribute calculations to all 4 cores. There's often one of the calculations, one of the threads, will be far more intensive than the other. So after a short period of time, the three of the 4 cores are looking to the 4th core and saying, okay, do you have your answer to your calculations yet? So there are multiple cores, but once one thread is critical to the responses of the other cores, those extra cores aren't doing anything until it's resolved those questions.
So there is a lot of in the engine. There's been a lot of optimization for multi-core. So, for example, AI, each region AI operates on a separate thread. So those are spread out. And in fact, what can happen sometimes if a game is played at a fast speed, the AI might, not have decisions happening as quickly. Just like a human does, they might have a little more trouble keeping up. But because they are not linked together. And the other thing is between the graphics and the game engine, there's no linkage. So, for example, you could be having a poor frame rate with a bad video card, but your game will still play at a higher speed because those two things are also completely unlinked and will operate independently. So, a lot of optimization for multi-core.
Oh, is Bob Clyde?
Who?
Bob. This for Bob.
Oh.
I can communicate some layman
Hey, Bob.
since I'm not a developer. Lag hangs are common, where the game will just straight up hang, forcing you to quit. These things we've either code for plus players in modern scenarios, so 2017, 2020, and World War II can be as well.
So let's back up and let's talk about those one at a time, and then I'll have you read the rest of them. Because the first one, having it actually hang, that's a new one to us that we've done.
That's extremely rare.
Like, one of the things we're always very proud of is people talking about game stability, and I always find it amusing that a new user who for some reason might have had a crash with the game will come to the forum saying, oh, the game crashed, problem with the game. Before I can usually get to the thread to ask them about it, I will see other forum users going, I don't know what you did. This is one of the most stable games I've ever played. So yeah, overall stability, we're pretty confident that we've got a lot of that down.
And the other thing about the sync error that did cause the sync in the Trump scenarios, that also might have been a related element that could cause a sync error in some other cases as well. It was an extremely unusual bug that happens when people are running different versions of Windows or different processors. So there's a possibility that some unexplained sync errors might be fixed by that. So that we'll just have to see what happens when players play it more in depth. But there's always a possibility that calculations can go out of sync with people playing with different CPUs and different versions of Windows because of the types of calculations that are being done. We spend a lot of time trying to see if that doesn't happen, but we're also subject to compilers and compiler bugs that cause that issue, and there appear to be one in a series of calculations that could cause one. So that we hope to fix with the build that will be pushed to the insiders tomorrow.
This is interesting. So Bob and also Michael Gearhart were saying that the Cold War was the most stable multiplayer they've had with four players.
Really?
With nukes being dropped constantly.
Huh. I find that a bit surprising just because chronologically, the Cold War map is probably the one we've had the least opportunity to work with. That the modern day one tends to be constantly asked about by the community. Everybody seems to love the modern day battles, and the 1936 stuff. Obviously, Supreme Alert 1936 wasn't that far back, so it still got a fair amount of attention. That it was always on my mind that the Cold War map simply got itself stuck as less often looked at times. So that's again the problem. We have so many sandboxes, so many campaigns, so many scenarios. Just prior to an update, rebuilding all the caches, the cache files that are used to launch the maps. If it's one person, you're talking a good, I don't know. Well, actually, I've been able to do it at home. So myself, running 2 computers and alternating between them, I can get all the caches rebuilt in about 14 hours. Again, some are quick, some are slow, and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's good to know that there's been some good, stable games, multiplayer. To the guy who's asking how to drop the nukes, one of the first things, if you're going to go nuclear, you have to remember to go to your state minister, is it? No, sorry, your defense minister. Yeah. Okay, I'm looking it up as I go. So, defense production has a tab for alert condition. In the alert condition, there is an option to enable nuclear weapons. It's an on-off permission. We default it off. I don't remember all the discussions around that, but once you've turned that on, you then need to produce, generally you're going to look to produce 2 things if you're playing something like the United States. You'd produce a missile, nuclear, of a certain size. Maybe it's an 8-point missile. Then you'd produce an aircraft with capacity for missiles that are 8-point in size. Once you have all those things, you can take the plane, load missiles nuclear, take the plane again, declare war on somebody, and have that plane right-click, fire missiles, and it's going to launch off the nukes. Obviously, if you need to hear that again, is our live stream going to get rebroadcast? Is something for people to watch later?
We should have an archive.
Okay. So going through it again, defense production, alert condition. You have to go to that panel to enable nukes. You're then going to build the missile, check its size. Build the airplane, check its size capacity. Once the plane and the missiles are built, put the missiles on the plane, declare war on somebody, select the plane, one more step, which is move it into range, right-click fire missile. Same sort of thing with submarines and sub-launch missiles. And again, the missiles are very specific in where they go, that you're going to be matching up naval-launched missiles to naval platforms. And yeah, the missile system that we have, I feel like I've got a bit of a love-hate relationship with it. That I'm glad that we have those missiles as separate things, but I know the complexity that it adds to the game. It's that constant back and forth. Do we want that realism? Do we want to get rid of the complexity?
So we've got somewhat of a funny quote, I think.
Hmm?
At least it's kind of funny. It's from a live stream that they were playing yesterday or Tuesday.
Okay.
And it was just him and more Viking. And the quote is, Bob, you need to slow it down. My PC fan just went up a bit. Though, Red Corsair has been typing, because I asked him what ideas he had for game, because he said he wanted to see some new updates and stuff.
We're talking this game, not conjecture around the new title.
Well, I guess, yeah, mostly this game, but I guess.
Okay.
So he's looking for a way to edit map borders and so on.
Map editor. That was discussed again in studio today. It is something that we had. It is not, well, technically it's out there. You're missing the air quotes because you can't see me doing that. Probably about 3-4 months ago, some of the users realized that our internal tool of the map editor was actually sitting in the folder, and if they poked around, they could turn it on. We made sure to let everybody know it is at this point unsupported. That what we'd like to do is polish it up a little bit, get a bit of documentation with it, and be able to make it an officially supported thing. Right now, it's just the icons don't do what you think they do when you look at it in some cases. We've used it internally for so long, it's not that big a deal if we're having troubles with it, but it is out there. And if you go to the BG forums, some of the users have discussed it there and have been helping each other to use it. Somebody made a Mars mod, like a total conversion of the game, which I got around to downloading, but still haven't had a chance to fire it up. I don't know if anybody else in the studio's gotten around. Oh, Brad's checked it out, and?
Yeah, it's cool.
It's Mars?
There's a country called BattleGoat.
Country called BattleGoatistan.
BattleGoatistan.
That's awesome.
It is, yeah, it's on Mars. It's quite impressive.
Cool. So I forget, can you look up for me the name of the user who made that mod? Give a quick shout out.
Okay, also, let's see. He would like a way to organize units better.
Hierarchy. We've had some ideas around that. Every idea we've come up with so far had to be thrown out as simply not viable for what we were trying to achieve. It remains on our wish list.
Also, naval invasions.
That's done.
He said convoys need reworks because they sometimes get stuck on land. At least when he played.
Sure.
And then also he says that the research is too vast for both countries in his opinion. They need to at least have a chance to fight the major countries because with 1 to 2 research factors you can't fight anything and also keep a good economy.
Interesting. I think one of the challenges there is that it goes back to the fact that we still want, like, there was a desire to stay with reasonably realistic. And if I zoom out my map for a moment to just consider other countries, a country like Chad, if you start the game as Chad, it is brutally difficult to pull yourself technologically and economically up. I kind of think that's what it is to live in Chad today. And so I'm generally of the opinion that we want to, as a studio, create the maps that are of the more realistic slant. But we store everything in plain text for a lot of our data files. It's the modding community that we turn to when they want something a little bit different. And we get users who come to the BG forums and leave suggestions. I think you should adjust this, adjust that. But yeah, it's trying to get that balance so that big regions still have things to do that are impactful and make sense.
Is that something you guys are going to be looking at for the secret upcoming title?
You think I'm going to say something about the secret upcoming title? You don't know me very well, do you?
I'm sure we will be doing secret upcoming things.
Yes.
On the other hand, I didn't even know this message existed in our game. Impressive economic record. The government of Gabon has been able to make great strides in strengthening their economy. Other nations are beginning to take notice. I didn't know we even did that.
There's
good
a
for
lot
you,
of
Gabon,
text in the game.
wherever you are. Let's see.
Gabon, it's on the left side of Africa.
Let's see where it is.
If you zoom out. Yeah, so one of the things, I can give a preview of something that's coming in the next update that should be in the insider build that's going to go out in the next 36 or so hours, is the nameplates for cities that you see when you're zoomed in, and as you zoom out, some of them drop away, and you generally kept the one nameplate for the capital quite far out. We've adjusted it so that now as you get to about the mid-zoom point, instead of showing you the capital, it switches to the country's name. And so when you zoom out, you actually get a reasonable list of, and I was right about where Gabon is.
Yep.
There it is.
Yeah, I zoomed in on it.
It's in the elbow, near
Yeah.
Equatorial Guinea and Sao
Yeah,
Tome.
I used the little center icon and got there, yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, and you should be able to also just click on the flag if you open the message.
Actually, oddly enough, that centers you on you instead of them. Maybe
Hey,
we
Brad,
can
can you
fix
write that one down?
Fix that one someday.
If you double-click on the flag in an email message, it centers on you, not the target of the email.
Which, I mean, that's given the it's.
I guess it's because it's your message.
Yeah. That
It's
one.
your minister who told you that.
Yeah, that one is probably.
We may not be able to get around that one.
Not easily. I mean,
We'll give it a quick look.
actually, the center on event works. Maybe if we can change the action code to center on event. Talking tech talk now. Internal design, how the sausage is made. Okay,
Everyone's
let's
trying
see
to
here.
get money from me. Don't they know that I don't have money?
I did have some long-term plans, but they're gonna take too long. So.
Yeah, we've been playing for a while already.
So
Enough for 39 minutes?
I think it's time for my long-term plans to turn into a short-term plan. You might want to slow the game down a notch there, Chris.
All right.
Oops. Did I declare one? No,
No, you didn't.
No, I
Declare
didn't.
we're on the right.
I declare one Gordon. No, I didn't want to do that. Actually, that's a pretty slow start. Oh, you paused it. That's why.
Oh, no. I don't think
Oh, the more than 30. Okay.
I probably would have.
So let's take a look at the front lines here. Lots of stuff going on. Hard to
Artillery going, tanks.
It's a bit of a kerfluffle at the moment.
Answer's 42. Everything is.
Are there economic multiplier effects built into social spending, such as infrastructure?
That's a George question.
It's very complicated to answer when I'm trying to persuade. I mean, it takes a little bit of, solving, the Middle East problem takes a little bit of mind share. I might think about it in the future.
It's always interesting when players come to the forums asking all sorts of really deep questions around the economy of the game and whatnot, because of course George is the one who has built the economy. And I will often find myself there attempting to answer some questions, but it's not always feasible to get the answers. George knows all the stuff.
Save yourselves, save yourselves.
Let's see if I can rotate through some of my troops here.
This stack has had its share of hurt. In the Middle East? Oh, okay, let me tone down the explosions a little bit. Yeah, that is a thing here, obviously. You got some
There,
explosions.
I'll pause that for a second, let you catch up. No,
I toned it down a little bit, maybe that'll be less of a-
it says game speed. Oh, there we are. Wow. There were a lot of explosions to catch up on there. All right. Get it rolling again. You good?
Mm-hmm. I'm rolling. Oh, you just paused it again.
Did I?
I think you did.
No. What? There. We're rolling.
Yeah, sometimes the multiplayer speed change is a little wonky because of the way that synchronizes across life.
And there is also the long-term wish list. One of the things we never got to was we had hoped to create sort of a more speed controls and like allow lobby options where the host could decide who's allowed to change in speed and stuff like that. But other priorities invariably get in the way.
Well, I didn't expect to capture Eilat. That was a little bit of a war trophy there. Now I'll report on the Red Sea. No.
My
report-
sympathies to the
Oh,
people.
it's on Red Sea.
It's the
What is it?
Gulf of Suez, right?
I don't know. Eric, ask the community, what is this stretch
Body
of
of water. No, oh yeah,
The Gulf of Aqaba?
you might be right about that. Yeah, Suez is on the other side.
Because I own it. Yay!
Did you start trying to build a fortress down there?
I was, but I couldn't wait for them to finish. Okay, oops. Yeah. No, these units aren't really stacked in a very defensible way. Let's make some fixes here. And let's plow our way through. See if I can convince my good friends, the Jordanians, to join in the fun.
They're very likely to say, you put yourself into this mess, you figured. Thank you. Our scripted events model is particularly challenging to work with. But, I'd be happy to see us get a less complex scripting model.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm just rotating my lines here. Damaged guys in the back. Fresh guys in the front. But it is still quite powerful that we can cascade all sorts of different events. It just takes a long time to set them up. It was one of the things that we made some efforts on improving around the time of the release of Supreme Ruler Ultimate. But, oh, Air Force. There's the Air Force. Continue getting people to buy Supreme Ruler Ultimate, Supreme Ruler Great War. Those are the main ways to do it, is help grow the community, because that doesn't just help us now with a little bit of financial support through the sales. It also means that we'll have that much more reach when we bring the next title to market. That it's the video game industry, and here I'm going to move from us to the industry.
Oh, that's tough, obviously. I mean, supporting by modding, because that increases interest in the game, and we are, as Chris mentioned, very keen on releasing more mod tools very soon, including the map editor. We, in our Gamepedia, we're definitely trying to get more information for modders up there, so that's a big thing we want to support over the summer as well. So where is that Israeli Air Force? I was expecting the Israeli Air Force to give me trouble, but they're playing coy here. Thank you. Huh. What? What? Yeah. I mean, geez.
Are you guys feeding me information about George's positions?
Yes.
Really? Oh, he's moving through Jordan.
Oh, those Merkabas are definitely
Nice tank.
some problems to army.
Israelis know how to build them.
Clearly my T-62s are a little outgunned here. Let's see, what that as far as...
I'm cranking up the speed because we're almost done the live stream.
Yeah. Something Chris can't say about dead tanks.
So, I've decided that I'm going to let the AI mop up George.
Oh, he's
And again, one of the things that I know people will be critical of, oh, the AI doesn't move the forces the way I do. There can be some real advantages to letting the AI manage some of the military. It's really good at grabbing damaged units and sending them back from the air. That sometimes it can be helpful to set large portions of the military under AI control, then use rules of engagement to lock out a certain portion of your AI, of your military, and just focus on what you want to, like, on your small missions and stuff like
It's
that.
also really good at exploiting weaknesses you might not know. I mean, is there
I feel like it's going to pocket you from supplies soon.
I mean, is there infantry that isn't, you know, backed up? Is there a loose artillery? The AI can really,
Oh yeah, it's good at chasing those down.
really chase those down, I think, actually.
Thanks.
Oh, got some guys to get back for some repairing. So yeah, I think that's...
Yeah, your invasion hasn't done what I think you intended it to do, George.
I got the city. Oh, I lost the city.
Oh, I'm hoping
Oh no,
it's going to
no,
ignore
no,
that.
no, I still have the map.
I suppose I should be careful of that. One, it lets the Egyptians come in. Oh, you got the Jordanians are going to come in by proxy.
Yeah, the Jordanians.
I suppose that was the one thing I had not thought of in terms of letting you take Eilat.
Yeah, the Jordanians are joining the fun. Welcome to the war. I hope,
Tempting to declare war on them now.
hope
Oh, I think I've lost my navy.
Jared Kushner is taking notes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to have to get going anyway.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, yeah, that's 2-1 on the kills, but that's not unexpected in a Mideast conflict. However, I think I'm holding pretty good.
2.5 to 1.
You did plow through, but I can mop that up.
We'll see. Or I suppose we won't see.
I guess we won't
Yeah,
see.
pause us there. Oh.
So one thing I
Too much
noticed,
sitting.
you push that alert update into SR9.
I'm indefinitely.
Hey, you look just as bad on my screen.
No, I got lots of stuff going on here. Oh, you're a little high. I got lots of reserve units here and stuff that I can deal with. My Air Force has become a little bit battered. We've got a lot. Actually, the wrong one.
Yeah, it has been a while since we've done some of these big knockdown fights.
Yeah, actually, yeah, most of my Air Force, I guess. What am I doing with those planes?
We begin to
Shenyang?
do a Shattered World one next time, smaller pockets.
Really, Egyptians have Shenyang planes? I don't know. When did they get those? But
I
oops.
think the Shenyang is just like a MiG-20.
When is
My
that?
mo-
An SU-27.
My multi-rolls are all
Somebody will
dead.
correct me on
Yeah,
that.
actually, I have lost most of my Air Force, so that is a thing, I guess. But the Jordanians and the Saudis could help out.
All right, we'll do this again, George.
Yep. So thank you everyone for joining us. Stay tuned for lots more interesting stuff coming up. News, grudge matches, etc.
Oh,
Oh,
Hang on,
oh,
before you
oh,
go,
oh.
Evil Dari was the one who made the Mars map. So shout out to Evil Dari for making that Mars map. Really appreciate the addition of that to the community. So, and of course, all the other people who help us out on the forums. We really appreciate Gary's contribution to these models. G.I. Joe helping on the BG forums and the Steam forums. Always welcoming new players. Yeah, we've got a pretty awesome community. We're very thrilled to have you guys on board.
Bye-bye.